Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Wrong podcast with your host, me, Ray Parra. Make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe and share. Add all your comments. We love the comments. Every time we have a special guest, there's different comments. We have a conversation. We have a great time, guys. Remember to get our merch. We got some cool t-shirts, some cool mechanic shirts, some hats, some buttons, some mugs, all kinds of real good stuff. But just stay tuned for today's guest. It's going to be a great one.
This show is called Is It Wrong Podcast with Ray Parra.
Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Wrong Podcast. Today we got a guy, many of you know him from Whitesnake, from Night Ranger, from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's got Hoekstra 13, his own solo project, and we're just going to have a lot of fun with him today, guys. Please welcome my guest, Hoekstra. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad, man. I've been trying to do this for a while, man. I was a little scared. I got to tell you a real quick funny story is the first time you had a conflict with your schedule, right? So you weren't able to be on. I had the same thing with Roy Khan from Camelot and Conception, except he's like in another time zone. So he was like at 2:00 in the morning. He fell asleep. So he wasn't able.
Well, they said on you, dude.
Yeah, no doubt, right? No doubt. Now you're a busy man, brother. You do like what, 2 or 3 podcasts a day or something like that, or interviews?
Lately I've been doing a lot of it. Yeah, it's technically what they call like the promo cycle for the new record. So you mentioned Joel Hoekstra's 13. That's my
yes, sir.
My own rock side project, and that's like Vinny Appice on drums, Tony Franklin on bass, Derek Sherinian on keys. Jeff Scott Soto does the backing vocals on the records for me, and the singer on the last album and this one is Girish Pradhan. The first two, Russell Allen basically was the lead singer. So this is going to be the 4th album from that project. It's called From the Fade, comes out February 27th. Might as well get our plug out of the way for the album.
Yeah,
talk about whatever, but that comes out February 27, and there's 3 singles up right now you can check out and pre-order the album and all that stuff. There's going to be cool looking vinyl. You can just go to my website, my .com, even joelhoekstra.com, and you'll see like the pre-order link, some cool merch and whatnot. And check that out. Or like I said, the 3 singles, they're up on all the streaming platforms, including YouTube, for a couple videos. And yep.
Nice. So like I was mentioning before, this is a live one, and people are going to ask questions, and my wife is in the other room in her studio queuing them up. So we'd like to do a little question and answer things just to have a little bit of fun with it. But Joe, no, I was just going to say, so you got to play with Cher too. That's pretty badass. You played with her twice, right? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the SNL 50 Homecoming.
No, I did a lot with her. I played for 3 years really with her, doing Vegas residencies and touring. Then when COVID hit, there was a big window where there was nothing. And then she got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, asked me to play for that, which was cool. And you mentioned, and then of course, not too long after that, the SNL 50 Homecoming concert, which was, packed with mega stars and all that stuff. So that was fun to get the opportunity to do that. Yeah. I mean, some things you never see coming, man, stay open-minded and just play and like get out there. You end up doing some things that maybe when you were younger you weren't picturing, but when you're older, it's like turns out to be a really killer experience.
Yeah, so that was going to actually be one of my questions, man. Do you ever think as a kid, I'm going to play with Cher one day?
No.
Crazy, right? I think I got a clip of that here. Let me play that real quick. Yeah, man. I know what you were thinking when she gave you that hug.
Oh, my.
Oh, boy. No, that was cool. I mean, she was really good to me in my time there. And I mean, I say it in the past tense because I don't necessarily count on ever playing with her again. I think she's at the age where she's probably got to be considering. I don't know if she's going to go out or not, but great life experience to have. One of those things I said you don't see coming, but to get to play with iconic person like that, it's always a great experience. And Honestly, some of the shows were really big, man. You know, the tours, those were selling out arenas, 21,000 people, 22,000 people, that kind of stuff. And, you know, got to tour Australia with her and Europe and the UK and the States and then do all the residencies. So I had a good time.
Yeah. And then with TSO, you guys are, I read somewhere you've done like 400 shows in a year before. Is that because you're doing a matinee show and then an evening show with TSO and then
no, that was more my personal experience during the window where I had Rock of Ages on Broadway doing 8 a week and 8 a week with TSO. And during that time playing with Night Ranger too, where I probably had more shows than there were days in the year because I was gigging 8 a week. If I didn't have a Night Ranger show, I would do 8 shows that week. So yeah, there was that 6-year period of time where I was probably doing about 400 shows a year or something.
When did you sleep? Did you ever have time to sleep? Sleep on the bus?
Planes, yeah, a lot on the planes back then because Night Ranger and that some of those years. Now, some we were on the bus quite a bit, but there was a lot of fly dates. So yeah, there were many a times I took the red eye back, and so that was my sleep. I'd sleep on the plane and I'd wake up and boom, go in, play the 2 shows at Rock of Ages on Sunday or whatever, and
man,
I'll sleep tomorrow on Monday or whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I remember when I first saw you guys, TSO at here in Daytona Beach, I was blown away, man. And then just all the pyrotechniques and all that and everything going on. So I'm sure there's a lot of preparation for this, but it's only comes around Christmas time, right? So do you guys do a lot prior to the show starting? Are you doing a lot of rehearsals again, or you guys just remember everything? Or
I mean, there's changes in the set list. So the front half of TSO every year is one of the stories, right? That's always what the rock fans are like, a story, but that's kind of the way it's set up. That show is very unique. You know, the front end will be, so depending on the story, you got to go back and revisit what songs are a part of that and that front half. And then the back half always changes a bit. I mean, it's always reworked and retooled. Now, that being said, I've been doing this since 2010. So we're getting to the point where 15, 16 years, most of the material for me is like, oh yeah, we did that whatever 6-7 years ago. I kind of remember a little of it, and let me just review. But we get 2.5 weeks together to answer your question musically. Well, I'll congregate essentially like Omaha, but it's just over the border into Iowa. We rehearse in an arena. And so the way they handle TSO so there can be all the shows around the holiday is we have a West band and an East band, right? I'm in the East band.
Right.
So that's the only way you could do it, dude. There's like physically like no possible way you could cover the US in like a month and a half or, even a month and 3/4 time. So that's the way it's done. And then it's really popular. I mean, typically like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're playing that arena twice. You don't just do one show, you do 2 shows. So yeah, it's enormously popular and a great opportunity for a guitar player, man, for sure. I log in that kind of stage time, playing cool material with my friends. I mean, I've been with those guys now since 2010. So we got a really good bond in terms of understanding each other musically, but as friends as well. So yeah, I mean, they're good guys. So I'm really, really grateful to have the gig and have the opportunity to be playing with them all these years later. I mean, the longevity out of that is incredible. Anytime you can join something and you're like with them for 16 years or something is
man,
fantastic.
Hey, so we have Kevin Duff here asked a question. He says, I've seen you play with Night Ranger and Whitesnake, but you always get the West Coast TSO. No, you're doing the East Coast.
I do the East. So it's a little confusing. Like if say this is the United States, right, and this is the East Coast, the East band kind of does like this. We'll go to the Midwest, but like the West Coast band kind of even does Florida. And even though it's East Coast, yes, I know my geography. People always, last time I checked, I'm sure Florida's East, but it's the number of shows that get booked and need to be routed. It's just, that kind of stuff when you're a part of that split band situation could be very frustrating to explain because it's like, well, I mean, we're playing 54 shows up here and they're playing 54 shows kind of like this,
Yeah. So they kind of all run together. Remedy 3 said, love the Revolution Saints and Icon albums.
Iconic. Yeah, a little bit of a typo there, but
Yeah.
Revolution Saints is something that people can look forward to another album this year. Dean Castronovo from Journey singing. That basically is the concept of the showcase, and that was set up, that project initially, oddly enough, when I was in Night Ranger with Jack Blades and Doug Aldrich being the bandmates. And then those guys both kind of stepped aside, and they brought in myself and Jeff Pilson to keep the project going. And yeah, I mean, I've had a really good time doing those, man. It's a lot like you'd expect. It's kind of like our little version of Journey or whatever. And
yeah,
I think it's this new record. I just did the guitars. People can expect it to branch out a little bit more into its own kind of sound. It's a little less like, I guess, Journey-esque than people would expect.
Right.
I think it's really cool. And same with Iconic. I'm already done with my guitars on both of these. Iconic is something that I do with Tommy Aldridge, my Whitesnake bandmate, of course, and on drums, and Marco Mendoza on bass. And I share the guitar duties with Michael Sweet from Stryper, who I know you know. And then Nathan James is a great vocalist out of the UK, is the singer on that one. So people can expect, I'm not sure like the release date on all these Revolution Saints and Iconic, but my job is done. Put it that way. I recorded the guitars. Everybody's done recording. It's just kind of in mix mode. And then we got to get together to do what shoot the videos and things like that.
Right.
Then they have a better idea of the release schedule.
Yeah. Speaking of video, I want to play a little clip here. All right, so I got to ask you, when I first saw you guys, I was saying, you always got that big smile, bro. Just that's got to be just a natural, genuine smile. It's got to be because you're enjoying the crap out of the show, right? Like, you normally always smiling like that, or?
I do enjoy the gig. I think it's also a lot of it is what type of style of show TSO is. It's a family show, man. I'm not playing for like all guys our age out there, rockers.
Right.
You're playing for kids. So I kind of learned that lesson my first year. I went out kind of doing the rock scowling on a lot of stuff, and I look up and I realize I'm just scaring the crap out of some 8-year-old, and that's like, oh, what am I doing, man? Like, I need to chill out up here. Like, maybe just like have a good time. There are moments where I do the rock scowl thing with it. It's still part of the gig because a lot of the material it's really an interesting show because it really is a metal show in disguise in a lot of ways. When you're doing something like that and you're playing like Oh Holy Night, I mean, that's, you don't really want to be like metal scowling during Oh Holy Night. So
I get that look. Yeah.
I'd say it is part of my personality, I think, to be like, smiley but I think, you learn to convey the emotions that go with the moment and the experience. So it's not contrived. Although I guess you'd have to give it a percentage yet because you need to like tweak, like I said, when I was scowling and thinking, like, I try to limit that a little bit and go like, wait a minute, dude, so, but it's not like 100% like contrived by any means. Like, it's just kind of the way I feel getting out there. It does make you happy, man, when you like go out and you're like, hey, I'm standing in front of 10,000 people and I'm about to be like the featured guitarist on this song. That particular song in the show is pretty much just about the lead guitar. So that's a fun moment where you're more or less the front man for an arena for a song. And it's a cool feeling.
Yeah. I watched that whole Cher video too. You're out there getting the crowd going and everything. It's all part of drawing the crowd in and making the connection, right? So
the Cher gig was less of that than the other stuff. Like the band for Cher, you'd be on a bandstand in the background, and then being the guitarist, your step out moments were when she would play the rocker stuff, like I Found Someone, and Turn Back Time, and there was also a wardrobe change moment where there's a song called Bang Bang, right, where you'd step out, and it was like an edited version of that where it was my job to hold the audience alone during that part. Because I mean, those pop shows, man, the singers change outfits so many times.
Man.
So they find little creative ways so that there was one moment where I had to hold the crowd, and then those other moments I'd step out with her and I have to hold the audience with her. And that was always interesting because you move like this. Your job was more or less to like keep the stage symmetrical, right? Like if she moves stage right, you want to move stage left, and vice versa. But sometimes when you're crossing paths, she'd want to interact or stop or, put her back, go back to back, that kind of thing. And it was always a little scary because she would do something different every show.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sometimes you'd end up back to back, like off here or off here. You never knew. So it was always, you had to grow eyes out of the side of your head, man, because it was always a little scary, like thinking if I go charging in one direction without looking, am I going to bump into her or something? Make sure that obviously I've joked in the past that I'd never wanted to be the guitar player on TMZ for knocking Cher over on stage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No, it's still fun nonetheless. So we got a question here from Ed Mackey. Your opinion on phenomenal voices that travel TSO was Mariah Formica. What's your opinion on her?
Yeah, she's killer, man. Yeah. Killer. Yeah, she came out. So she's been in the West Band in past years. She's got her band Plush. Everybody should check them out. But she came out and she's really, really cool and kicks ass. Great singer, man. Absolutely. Yeah. They do a really good job in general. I think that was always my thought back in 2010 is like, look, man, eventually a lot of these bands that we're out with, these guys are going to get older and kind of age out. And I think we'll see more respect put on the Trans-Siberian name, because that's essentially something where Trans-Siberian Orchestra is what's famous, not like any individual within. Correct. It's all about the show itself, the production itself, actually, because, I mean, the production is sick, dude. All the pyro and lasers. And, I mean, we had drones in the show, for crying out loud, this year, like making shapes over the performers. And it's a really cool experience, but it's a show. It's not necessarily about me. I might have my moment like that song where it's okay, it's my moment to step forward and shine a little bit. Generally speaking, it's about the name itself. Trans-Siberian Orchestra is what's famous, more so than the performers, and that's totally cool. So I think maybe years ago that was like maybe deemed a negative, but now that you see a lot of the bands aging, that Trans-Siberian Orchestra has become more of a desired gig, man. So the talent level, there's pretty crazy nuts, man. I mean, we have a backup band too, just in case any of us get sick or get injured or whatever it may be. Wow. And so they're in rehearsals with us too. And the backup band, dude, I mean, they're like legit crazy, great musicians, man, like insane good, So there's a lot of talent in the building, man. I mean, when you talk about going to catering and like years past, I mean, I could just talk about some of the singers that have been a part of it. The male singers, when you talk about Jeff Scott Soto or Dino Jelusic or Russell Allen, Nathan James was a part of that. I mean, it's some really like the hot like rock singers, the guys,
Yeah, cream of the crop, man.
It kind of goes that way around the building, man, where you just go, gosh, there's a lot of talent here. So I'm usually just honored to be included in it. And it's a great place to connect and hang with everybody at rehearsals when we're all together. The West Band and the East Band and the backup band are all kind of part of rehearsals together.
Oh, so, wow. That's cool.
It's not like we're like the West Band will be doing their thing, but we're all in the building together,
Right,
and we communicate with each other as far as how things are working. Like the West Band's music director, Al Petrelli, is pretty much the main guy. Like he's the guy who does the guitar on all the records. And so my job is to go to Al, touch base with how they're doing the guitars so we can keep it cool on our side, keep it so that people are seeing a consistent show and whatnot. So we do work together an awful lot as far as like what the show itself is going to be. Al is always kind of watching us go through our run throughs on the main stage. It's pretty interesting. In that arena, you got two main stages that face each other. So there's the East Band stage setup, and then there's a West Band stage setup. It's really unlike anything else, I think. I mean, maybe some of the pop things do it these days. I don't know. But it's pretty cool. Like one band will be in the rehearsal rooms running the music while the other's on the main stage. And one of the more fun stories I can tell people that's just really interesting is sometimes they'll do the production on the West stage while we're playing it on the East stage. So you see the video,
Oh, wow.
pyro, everything going off on this empty stage across from
Yeah.
you. It's pretty cool. I
That
mean,
has got to be pretty cool.
it is pretty cool, man. It's fun to be a part of. It's an awesome gig to have. I mean, gig makes it sound so like, you know, it's just like a job, but it's way more than that for me at this stage of the game. I mean, I've been there so long. I got a lot of loyalty to those guys. They've shown me a lot of great times, man, and given me a lot of killer experiences.
Yeah. So how did it come about that you joined TSO?
That was just Alex Skolnick needing to take a year off. Alex has, as you know, like devoted a huge portion of his guitar skills to jazz. That I'm not exactly sure when he set out on that, but definitely by 2010, he was already gigging pretty heavily with his trio.
Wow.
And he needed to take a year off because he had a really good opportunity with them. And I had a couple of people in the band recommend me as maybe being the guy who could hop in there. So in a lot of ways, despite the fact that TSO is not your normal band, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, being so for those that don't know that, I'm pretty much sure everybody knows that. But the audition process was just sort of like joining a normal band, like going on, you know, I auditioned for Al, and it was more or less, it wasn't even so much about playing their stuff. I think he wanted to meet me and make sure our personalities gelled and that I could play guitar and do what I was doing. And then eventually I got an opportunity to audition for Paul O'Neill, who founded Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We lost Paul several years back, and, you know, miss him dearly, but went down and auditioned for him as my kind of secondary, like, we're going to actually offer you the job kind of.
Right.
At the time, it was actually kind of stressful, man, because I already was doing Night Ranger, was the first gig that I had become a part of or had the opportunity to do. And then I had gotten Rock of Ages on Broadway, which was playing 8 shows a week. And I could sub out on that. No problem, man. When you have a Broadway gig, you can send in subs. I had 7 guys that would go in.
Oh, wow.
And they don't really care so much. So that was, that's band, right? Like if you're taking off from a band, they freak out, right? So getting the opportunity to do Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I was only 2 years into my Night Ranger experience at that point in time. And I had to go to those guys and basically be like, hey, I got this opportunity, but it means I can't play with you guys in November, December. Man. I mean, I was obviously very worried about getting fired from them. And then maybe Ages closes, or maybe TSO only uses me for the 1 year that Alex is taking off. So, I mean, there was a little period in time there where it was scary to take it, but I thought, well, I mean, this is an opportunity to headline arenas, and there's somebody that plays year to year, and maybe Alex, you know, will probably follow his heart. And that's kind of what ended up happening, more or less. I think Alex really, his heart is really in playing jazz, which he does really extraordinarily well. Time he's, you know, I really enjoy what he does in that vein, like a lot. All the stuff I hear from Alex, I complimented him. We saw each other at NAMM recently, actually played together on a jam. And just, I really like everything he's doing with that. You know, I think it's in his heart. And so he kind of followed that. And I think it was a little bit more in my heart to be doing the TSO thing than in his heart. You know, sometimes it comes down to that. At that point in time, at least, you know, and I don't want to speak for Alex, but I'm pretty sure that he would agree with that. And that's the way it shook out. And so here I am, like, what, 16 years later. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you got to love that, man. You got to say thank you, Alex.
I
never thought that's what it was going to turn into that. That's great, man. That's great. Hey, I'm kind of going around here a little bit because just, you know, you're a great guest, I got to say, because you're answering a lot of my questions before I even ask them, which is great. But I know that you did some contributed to shows like Duck Dynasty and the Wahlbergs. How did that come about? Were you like writing stuff and then they said, hey, we're going to use this, or how did that happen?
That was my period in time where I thought I would like dabble in like the music bed thing, where you create the stuff, that record little snippets. You get some requests from, basically there are some of these houses that'll compile that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So they'll get a request that they need this kind of thing, and I went about creating some. And some of them landed in the Wahlburgers and Duck Dynasty in the background. And for me personally, the reward of that just wasn't great enough to like monetarily or artistically, because you hear
Oh yeah.
that loud in the background. There's like dialogue, hear like this little tiny volume
Yeah.
song bed that you made. And I mean, whatever, dude. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it again sometime. It's
Sure,
certainly
sure, yeah.
right, but there's always a lot of ways to stay busy in music, man. You just got to figure out what they are and kind of figure out what sticks and what doesn't. That's always been my MO, is just to stay busy. So I was dabbling in it, and I did do pretty well considering I just dabbled. I mean, those were really the first things I took a crack at, and I landed in it. But it just, as I said, I didn't really see a ton of money. I think that kind of business is in tough condition these days anyway with AI, because I think a lot of the beds are AI these days. They're being created kind of backgroundy music. So it's kind of one of the first parts of music that's really, really in trouble is that with AI.
AI has gotten out of control. It seems like when I go on social media now, everybody's posting stuff. I mean, everybody, hey, then they'll put on there, this is not AI, this is really me. And, you can tell when you listen to it, it's AI. I mean, who are you trying to kid, right? I mean, geez.
I haven't really done anything with it yet. I mean, it's one day I did some messing around poking around on some kind of, AI platform, but like having some fun, but I've never really done anything. There's been a couple fan generated graphics and stuff. There was that little craze where everybody was making like the action figure JPEG of you. And there was
they're still doing it.
Somebody sent me a few of those, and I posted them just for kicks, but I didn't make them personally. So I haven't really gone down that avenue of I'm old school still, man. I'm just trying to be a guitar player first and foremost. And
of course,
we'll see where all that leads, man. I mean, my thing has always been to try and stay busy because it's how I grew up and what I wanted to do with all of it. Just try to either be playing live or recording albums, writing albums, anything where doing sessions, teaching guitar. I teach remotely too. That's something I actually dig doing because it kind of keeps me on a lot of skills that might fade away when you're touring, especially during TSO. That comes in really handy for me on the days off, man, because you settle in for 2 months where you're playing the same set, same music. You could start to get good at only that. You like, if that makes sense, you go to play other stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Playing kind of suffers, man. You go like, God, when I go to play other stuff, I kind of suck right now. So the teaching helps with that. Kind of keeps me stay fresh. Like you're not going to be working on playing more abstract stuff. Like, let me, play. Here's A flat melodic minor and things like that. Like you're not going to be touching bass on anything like that in the TSO.
Right.
It helps me keep my skills sharp. It also helps me to kind of clear my head, man. Sometimes you get immersed in a touring situation and that's like it's all consuming, So it kind of helps me set aside time to remember that I'm there because of playing guitar. And that's really what it's been about for me, dude. I set out to be a professional guitar player, not really a rock star. That's what's been, I think, a little bit different about me than a lot of the people that ended up in some of the bands that I've been in. For me, all that stuff was a total shock. Like, landing in Night Ranger or watching all that stuff kind of take off in my life. It kind of in the order of Night Ranger, Rock of Ages, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Whitesnake, Cher, more recently filling in with Accept. I mean, all that stuff kind of, where I came from, we had no money. I was in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, no connections, no money. I mean, you've been laughed out of any conversation if you said, man. So I feel lucky to have done it all, but it also wasn't necessarily the primary goal. I mean,
no, I was just talking to my wife. She took that question back.
No worries, dude. No worries.
Hey, so Barry says, Joel, you're an awesome guitarist. Have you thought about doing just a classic guitar instrumental album?
Man, I did like my classical guitar, my actual classical guitar studies were kind of like I want to say either junior and senior year of high school, where I was taking some classical lessons, but primarily playing rock. And then my 2 years of college that I did do which were, I use college kind of loosely, man. It was community college, you know, but I was playing more classical guitar during those 2 years than rock guitar. But I'm not good enough to do a classical album and be seen as like a great classical guitar player. So I think it's an influence on my life. That's the way I look at my playing, is that I think, I like to pull from other styles. Like I dabble in other styles, but I like to pull them into what I do, which is rock. And that is what stuck with me, is the music that made me want to play. Now, that being said, I do have an acoustic album out years ago called 13 Acoustic Songs that they could check out. That's instrumental. What I did is I didn't even intend to do this album, man. I was just sitting on my sofa and I was writing these songs. I'd put my guitar in an open tuning and write a fingerstyle thing. I decided to record them to document them. And I was like, I wonder if I arrange some stuff around that, do some crazy stuff like play mandolin and put some percussion around it, maybe put a bass on it. And that's exactly what that album is. I had these little acoustic things that I was playing. But they were almost kind of like they weren't really to showcase technique. It's all, oddly enough, man. I mean, I know this is like not cool for a rock player to say, but that album is almost like an easy listening album. Like you'd want to like wake up and like drink your coffee to it.
Yeah, man.
Chill out at night or something, man, because that's the way that record turned out. But it was just something I wanted to document because it's what I was doing at the time. I was hanging out on the sofa playing a lot of acoustic guitar.
Yeah. So Brian William wants to know, who's your favorite guitarist and why?
Man, it's a tough one, dude. I don't really have like a favorite. It always feels like not fair to somebody along the line. I mean, Angus Young is the guy that made me want to play guitar because he was just so cool. And that almost was more to do with like the early days. I always talk about bands more than I talk about specific guitar players. Like that was AC/DC, man. I mean, back in Black when I was a kid, and I was like, this is awesome. I want to play guitar. Seeing Angus Young, I thought, well, he's the coolest. But I also had like my second teacher was really important to me, TJ Helmrich, because he was somebody that I was lucky to get early on as a teacher because he's really technically proficient. And he like was very motivated and ended up teaching at GIT in Hollywood. Like he went out there as a student, ended up getting hired as a teacher out there. And consequently, like when I went to GIT, he and I hung out a lot, jammed a lot. He taught me a lot. He was good friends with Brett Garside, who is an incredible Australian guitar player who people would only know in the States. And they probably would laugh at this, but he came over to be in Nelson, like when they started. So when I was out there, this was just before the transition to like 90s grunge, right? It was the Nelsons had really the number one song in the country. So I was just this 19-year-old kid at GIT who hadn't done anything, had no credit to his name at all. And I was hanging out with this guitar player. Brett is actually legit, like insane on guitar, like really, really good. Way beyond me, man. And so I would hang out with those guys and jam and hang, but in kind of more of a party sense. Like we'd get together and drink beers, or maybe do a couple other questionable things behavior wise, maybe kids watching, but hang out and jam all night. And like you'd picture, we were trying to kick each other's asses on guitar. We'd like trade off on who would play drums or bass and just have jam. We would just jam all night. So some of us, be playing bass, you'd be playing drums sometimes singing, whatever.
That's awesome. This one says here, the new Austin Starr album with Joel on guitar will be released next Friday, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's something, another iron in the fire, man. Just like trying to write with the younger generation. Yeah, it's like somebody who's starting out. It's their first record, and it's really cool, man. I mean, it's a different kind of record than people would expect from me on guitar because I wanted to write to her influences, and she's more influenced by like kind of the pop punk kind of thing and emo. But she also is like a big fan of oddly enough, liked these Joel Hoekstra's 13 albums. She's like, those albums are really good. You write great songs. And she played me this song of hers, and I was like, you could just record 11 songs like that, and you could probably get yourself like a deal and get out there. And so that's kind of how that began. And more or less, like I was said like, well, why don't you give me 11 songs like that you'd really like, that you would want your album to sound like, so I can get sort of the vibe and then maybe write something. And so anyway, she made the record, and then it was like, you know, she's like way younger. And she's like, all right, well, it's time for the videos. And I was like, look, I can't be the video guitar player, man. You know,
right.
I'm like the wrong vibe. And she's like, nah, come on, let's put you in like disguise, and like you come in and do it. And kind of talked me into, we used like 10,000 bobby pins to put my hair back and make me kind of look like a emo guy. Like I had the bangs out. So it's pretty
that's great.
4 videos up there and online. The videos are great, man. She writes great lyrics, and the videos are killer. And so, yeah, that's coming out February 13th. It's a cool album. I like the album. It's a lot different. It was fun for me because I'm kind of one of those people that likes to do different things. And like, it's not what people would expect. I don't think I really shred ever on the album. I just kind of play. It's a lot of that style of lead guitar where you kind of quote the melodies of the song a little bit when there's a solo break, or you just play a little bit of attitude or something, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's a really cool record. The songs are cool and kind of range from heavy to poppy.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some heavier tracks on there.
I have noticed that the younger generation, man, they're so much better at music than we were when we first started. Now, music has evolved so much, but there's so much out there where kids now, my son, just mind blowing. When he was 13 years old, I got him a show at Cornerstone in Chicago. That's a big Christian festival, you know, and there's thousands of people there. And he was 12 and they're playing on this stage. But now what he's done, he's doing a lot of that stuff, like you just mentioned, writing stuff for future, like commercials and movies and all that. So he does that, plus his own projects. And then on the side, he's rigging shows for big shows, you know, stages.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important, man. And the one thing I've learned is that you never know. Like some things, like I've tried a lot of different things. Like even when I reference some of the really weird stuff I've done, like playing the Turtles, like Happy Together, and like, you know, Big Brother Holding Company. Like I was a part of like those, like touring wise, and people wouldn't necessarily guess that from like, oh, guitar player from Whitesnake or whatever. But that kind of led me to being ready to do the touring for something like Night Ranger. I don't know if Night Ranger would have necessarily hired me if I wasn't out doing something. That and Jim Peterick's World Stage, which is a long story, but that kind of led to the Night Ranger thing. So I see Night Ranger always jokingly referred to as Sebastian Bach on guitar. I mean, dude, I've been so conditioned to that over the course of my life. Like when I hear somebody say Sebastian, I actually turn and look, because I think, I'm Sebastian Bach. But Sebastian and I have a good relationship. He's a great dude, like him a lot. And the first time I think we actually hung or met, we made a cameo in the movie Rock of Ages together. So we were in Miami on set. And yeah, it was a trip because I'd hear people going, Sebastian, and I would be turning my head because I'm legit used to that. But yeah, we hung out. He's a cool dude, and you know, always rooting for him. He's got I like the new music he's making, man, for sure.
Yeah, I have to listen to it. I've heard that he's doing some stuff. I haven't heard it yet, you know.
Yeah, his solo stuff's always been really good, man. Everything he's always played me. So
yeah. Ralph Ventrella says, bro, you're like a Viking warrior of metal, axe in hand and pressing forward.
I mean, I'm trying, dude. I'm trying to keep going, man, for sure.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think you have to create that. You have to create that by staying busy. And sometimes that means inventing your own work. You go like, well, all right, what's the way I can be productive today? Like if they're legit as nobody else pressing on you, you still have to tap into yourself and go like, what can I do off my ass and do something productive today?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Adrian Williams, he sent me a picture of you and him. He must have seen you. I think it was at NAMM or something. He said, Ray and Joel, when should we expect the song together? Yeah, I don't know. You never know, right? Hey, it sure ain't gonna be this.
And the station of the week got forsaken, turning my other cheek. They try to write me off the page, erasing me.
Man, that dude, he can.
Dino's crazy. Yeah, he's I mean, when he came into Trans-Siberian Orchestra, that's basically where we met, and so he was singing for a couple years with that, and then he started posting all the stuff online of him like shredding on guitar too, like doing all his shred keyboard stuff and playing guitar and playing bass. So we had the opportunity to do some stuff together with the collab videos, man. There's a version of Jane with Mike Portnoy on drums that saw a lot of action. I don't know, a couple million views, something like that. And we did Stormbringer together, which I think between our two channels also topped 1 million, 1.5 million views, something like that. And we did Foreplay Long Time together, the Boston song. That was really a superstar band. There was a lot of amazing players on there, but that also surpassed 1 million. So, I mean, we've definitely been out there together doing some stuff, but mainly just those collab videos. And of course, Dino came on into Whitesnake as the second keyboard player for the farewell tour. Just so happened, bad fortune cut that tour short on us, man. But that lineup was mega talented with Dino in there on second keyboards. I mean, when you're talking about having somebody that talented as like your second keyboard player and singing backing vocals, it's like, whoa, pretty talented.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you some about that here in a second. But Ed said we need a Ray Parra song with TSL. Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever heard of my band at all, Sacred Warrior?
I definitely heard your name. Yeah. I mean, I would need to listen to material, but yeah.
Yeah, we're a prog metal band, kind of sound like Queensryche without sounding like Queensryche, you know. And then I have a second band called Worldview, which we just released a new record, and that's doing really good right now as well. But
cool.
Yeah, you never know. I was going to ask you, we'll ask John. Well, here, let's ask John's question really quick. He says, what are the odds of Whitesnake coming out with Dino Jelusic on vocals? And that's what I was going to ask you. I heard a rumor that was possible, that maybe Coverdale gave him his blessings or gave you guys the blessings. Is that true or not so much?
Not so much. I mean, the only blessings that were ever given was to do initially what was called like All-Star Band or All-Star Jam. And we did that. Technically, it was in France, just over the border from Switzerland. I forget the city. But we did one set like that. And that was without Tommy Aldridge, as it turned out, and without Reb. They weren't available. So it's kind of like a mixture of Dino's band, but then it was myself and Michele, who played the first keyboard position, is a great lead singer himself. And then Dino and Marco Mendoza on bass, who is from a previous Whitesnake lineup. So it was definitely very Whitesnake tinged. And then there was plans for another, and then everything got a little out of control. And, you know, it ended up, I still actually don't know why the gig itself was called off, but it picked up a lot of traction online in terms of like rumors of it being something more than it was. People took it and ran with it as it went. It never was like a project. It was a one-off gig. So,
if anybody was to cover Coverdale, Dino would be a good fit in for that, because he's got that voice, right?
I mean, Dino's amazing, man. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Dino's. I will say that I think it's important. That's cool, but I like that being one of the best, if not the best, at what he's doing these days, that he's trying to do his own thing, and his own music. And I think people should pay attention to Dino's music and give him a chance to create his own legacy, rather than ride the coattails of the Whitesnake thing. I admire the fact that he wants to do his own thing. I think that's a smart move, because in the end, maybe he could sell himself short on what he could do with his own music. So
I agree.
I'm a friend of Dino's, and I'm a fan of Dino's. Like I want nothing but the best for him.
Sure. Ed said, Joel, with TSO finishing up next year, will you be touring with Night Ranger again or doing your solo stuff? Ed, I don't know if you saw he's got a new album coming out, but you want to answer that question? Is you be doing other things? I mean,
Night Ranger is somebody I haven't toured with since 2014. So that's like 12 years ago. So, I mean, they have Kerry Kelly in the band. They've been working with him now for the last 12 years. So that's not really anything that would be, I think, a realistic scenario. But one way or another, I stay busy. The Joel Hoekstra's 13 thing is part of it, but we talked about Revolution Saints, Iconic, the Austin Star record, as far as playing. It's kind of casual on the front end of this year, man. I'm like playing with Broadway's Rock of Ages band, doing a bunch of dates with them, which is kind of like watching me play a cover gig. It's fun actually.
Yeah.
I have fun doing it. And then I do acoustic duo stuff with Brandon Gibbs. We call Hoekstra Gibbs, and we do our shows. So we'll be on the Monsters of Rock cruise where I do my solo set as well, and we're gonna do a mountain festival and a handful of other stuff. Brandon, of course, is singing with Rocket Mafia right now, Ricky Rocket's band. So we're a little bit limited in terms of how much we're going to get out there this year because he's kind of busy with that. Now, I'd imagine if Poison goes out next year, that Brandon and I will probably do a lot more. But I just try to stay busy. I got a lot of sessions. Just played on a Swedish artist's album, that big time producer, and that's really been the thing, oddly enough, that's picked up, and it always just seems to work out that way for me, man, where it's like, just when I'm like, oh, this is going to be dead time, I end up getting really busy with something. Sure. And I keep riding that and see what opens up.
Right. So Greg's question is more of a inquiring minds want to know kind of question. He said, in the light of what's going on in the news with Hollywood and the music industry, have you ever seen some weird stuff at these record company parties? Sure
I've never been big enough or successful enough to go to any of those kind of like high record level, like major record label parties or anything.
Really?
Like that. No, not really. I mean, Whitesnake, my time with Night Ranger was with Frontiers. My time with Whitesnake was with Frontiers. I mean, they've been awesome to me with Joel Hoekstra's 13, man. They let me write whatever I want. It's like full artistic freedom. And then they've hooked me up with their other projects, Revolution Saints, Iconic. So pretty much everything I do is with Frontiers. Yeah. And even Austin Starr ended up signing with Frontiers. So most of my stuff's with them. I'm not really that kind of level guy, and morally, I'm not really one of those guys either. You're not gonna find Epstein files.
Yeah. Hey, being a Frontiers guy, has Giancarlo ever co-written anything with you, Giancarlo Floridia? I know he's.
We know each other. We're friends, but I mean, we don't. Yeah. We haven't written anything together yet. No.
Yeah, cool dude. Hey, Elkie says, Joel, what do your kids think of the new album, and do they have a favorite song?
My kids are kind of like only casually interested in what I'm doing. I mean, my son is a rocker. Like, he does dig rock. And I sometimes will bust his balls a little bit and say, because he'll be talking about he's into the old school rock, and I'll say, well, how come you never tell me you're listening to my stuff, man? Like, I'm like, why don't you go listen to the albums, And I think he does like some of the tracks, but he never really tells me what his favorite ones are or anything like that. It's probably a little embarrassing for him. I'm his dad, they don't talk to you like a fan.
Yeah. It's funny because I think a total of 9 albums between my bands. And it wasn't until the last couple of years that I actually hear my kids listening to my music. My son, who's writing all the stuff, like I told you, for commercials and stuff, he's got his own music too, but my kids are always listening to his music, know all the words to every song. And I'm like, hey, what am I, dirt? It seems like
that's exactly my experience right there, dude. I'm like, hey, what am I, a bag of peanuts here? Come on. So yeah, that's all right. How was your experience as a judge on the shredding competition show? That's on the Monsters of Rock cruise. That's So You Think You Can Shred, that's called. Typically I'm a judge on there. I think I will be this cruise as well. And it's fun. I mean, it's kind of a mixture of like judging everybody's skills and also comedy, because you got Don Jameson as one of the judges. And so I think the objective is to entertain a little bit while trying to give the rightful winner the prize and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really been a big event, man. I mean, it really turned out to be one of the big highlights on the cruise every year.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Hey, so I'm going to play another clip here. This is the thing you did with Ken Tamplin right here.
My body's burning, it starts to shout. Desire's coming, it breaks out loud.
Now, are you a friend with Ken, or how did that come about?
The first time I met Ken, he asked me during, I think it was kind of during the COVID period there, about doing one of his collab videos for a Triumph song, and did that with Ken Murray, that drummer you just saw right there, and Rudy Sarzo. No, that was Gabby Gunchikova, who's she's also from TSO, but she's singing with Ghost these days. She's singing in the backing vocals for Ghost.
Really?
So yeah, she's a great singer. So anyway, I did that Triumph collab, and then he asked me about doing that live stream thing from Dieter Dirk's studio in Germany, and it was like 6 songs, and one of them was with Uli John Roth, getting a chance to play with Uli John Roth, and it sounded like a fun experience to go over. And I mean, we have like kind of a casual friendship association with each other. I mean, he's asked me to do things, but I had a good time doing it, and it was live stream. Dino sang on there, and Gabby Gunn, and Ken. So yeah, and then Ken Mary also is a really good drummer, man. He's doing Metal Church now. He's a really good dude. He's on the new Metal Church record, and so yeah, he's good dude, great drummer.
Yeah, the new vocalist for the new Metal Church, right? Brian Allen.
I don't, because I hear a lot about Metal Church mainly because Jeff Plate, the drummer for TSO, of course, plays drums for Savatage. Did play with Metal Church for a long time.
Right.
So I usually get a little bit of like Metal Church talk. I'll be like, "What's going on with those guys?" We'll talk on the bus a little bit about that. But that's kind of And I've met Kurt Vanderhoof, and he's a great dude and a great player and great writes some killer tunes, great metal tunes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm actually gonna have Kurt and Brian on my podcast.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Brian, the singer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know Brian, but please, when you see Kurt, say what's up for me. And
yeah, man.
Yeah, good dude, and wish those guys luck with everything.
Yeah. So here's a question with and this is kind of like a loaded question. You'll see what I mean when I ask this. With all the bands you've played with and all the different artists you've played with, is there anyone that you would say, not for any amount of money would I play with that Joker again? Or has everything been a great experience all the way through?
I haven't really had anything like that where I would say I would never do that again. I don't think. I mean, I think there's things that fit logistically better as your schedule goes. I'm a big believer in never negotiate yourself onto your sofa, man.
Yeah. If you're
like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this, and then the next thing you know, you're just like sitting home is like, I mean, I like to stay busy because it's obviously like to some degree about making a living, but like it also helps you be a better musician if you just say yes and learn the music. And absolutely. I can look at the history of my life. If you learn from history, it's like, dude, most of everything I got in my life breaks came from doing something that made no sense in terms of money, where I was probably 5 cents an hour or 10 cents an hour or something crazy. So sometimes you just got to get off your ass and get out there and play, man, and stay busy. So I try to, like I said, I'll invent work for myself. If I don't have work, man, I'll invent the work.
Yeah. And then I got this one. I really like this one here. That was great. Are you and Michael buddies? Or
yeah,
that's something just reached out to you.
That started out where Michael was in Boston. I don't know, not the city Boston, but the band Boston. I don't know if a lot of people remember that period where he was playing in Boston. But Night Ranger was put on a bill, Cynthia Woods Pavilion. I remember it was. So that bill was crazy. It was like Alan Parsons, Night Ranger, Styx, Boston, I think. Pretty early in my days in Night Ranger. And so next thing I know, I had an email through my website from Michael Sweet, and we kind of just became friends because I said, hey, man, I grew up on your stuff and your cassettes, and that's so cool of you to write me. And so at first that started out by miming for him, basically being his video guitar player. I'm like, I'm Not Your Suicide. I think is the name of the song that we did. He was like, hey, I played guitars on the album, but you want to come be in? I need a second guitar player for the video. So it's Kenny Arnoff was going to be doing drums on it. And James Lomenzo. So I was like, yeah, man, sure. Like, let's go. I'll go do it. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
So went out there, and he had done a duet with Dave Mustaine's daughter, Electra. And so
wow.
Dave was on there for the day. We all went out to dinner. So it ended up being a real cool hang. And just goes to show, if you get like something like that where I could have said, well, I didn't play guitar on it. No,
Yeah.
yes. And you're out at dinner with Michael and Dave Mustaine and all that stuff. And it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And the next album he had me play on, which is what you're hearing there. That was from the video Radio, just kind of a tongue-in-cheek song about all the rock guys kind of turning country.
Yeah.
And the video is kind of fun. We're going between being rockers and being like kind of wearing
country boys
hats, and fun video to make.
And
then he had me actually do some co-writing with him on his record, his next record, where I wrote the riffs and he wrote the melodies or the lyrics. And then that's how we ended up kind of doing the first Iconic record together, because he and I were always talking about doing something together. So that's how that came together.
That's awesome. Yeah, Oz Fox, the other guitar player in Trevor, he played on, I think, 3 or 4 of my songs of my albums. Great people, man. Great bunch of guys.
I got a really cool Oz Fox story, just briefly. I gotta wrap it up myself because I'm teaching in like 4 minutes here. But Oz came to do a clinic at GIT when I was there. So I think I was 19 years old, and I was like recording at this point in time. People need to go back. It's a million years ago, like 1990. So I had my little 4-track cassette machine, and I was recording my demos with a drum machine and whatnot. So I, like anybody does when they're that age, you think you hand it to the famous guy and with your phone number on it. And lo and behold, Oz actually called me up, man. And he had gone through and listened to the demos, and he was really nice. And like, that really meant a lot to me at that age. I was telling him, I've had the chance to acknowledge that, and bring that up to him. But I was just this 19-year-old kid. I had nothing going on. And Oz Fox called me, and if he'd of course had platinum albums at that point in time. So that meant a lot to me. And good guys, like you're saying. Him to do.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this last question, and then we'll ask you Greg's question. But I don't know if you've seen the Grammys recently with Jelly Roll, where he went up on the stage and he's talking about Jesus. He's a big Jesus guy now. And he said, Jesus is for everybody. It's for the sinner, for this, but what are your thoughts on that? Because this guy, Kevin, says, I'd like to know if you have your faith in Christ, or where your heart is as far as Jesus goes.
Yeah, I grew up in the church. My mom was a church musician, so basically made her living being the church organist and choir director. And so as a kid, I grew up around music. Both my parents are classical musicians, but I grew up having to sing in the kids choir in church, and even a bit of the adult choir, playing the handbell choir, all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's been a big part of my life for sure. I don't want to be all judgy and tell people, what it is they have to do. But, that personally, it's been a big part of my life. And I feel like that it tends to, for me, be something that helps when things are not going great. To kind of pull you through.
Man.
I don't want to get preachy on people, but for me, that's something that's been part of my life for sure.
Yeah, me too. I got saved in 1985, and I'm in 2 metal Christian bands and all that, and I had that relationship. But Joel, listen, man, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. It was a great time. You're a great dude, man, and everybody watching on here, thanks again, guys. Thanks for supporting the show, and thanks for your questions. I know we had a couple of hundred, but we could only get a few in here because obviously we want to talk with our guests. But Joel, maybe we'll do this again in a year or two and see what's going on. And again, I just want to say thank you. And if you would, Joel, just hang on there for 1 second. All right, guys, thanks again for being on Is It Wrong? We love you guys.